Hi, welcome to Coda Guitar. This is a level 1 lesson on open chords, quite a short one. We're just going to be looking at a couple of minor chords here. We're going to be using 4 fingers here. So up to this point, hopefully you can play it a little bit. You've had a look at some of our beginner lessons, free lessons and songs. So you've had a go at some 3-fingered open chords, major, minor, 7th chords, and you've had a go at them in some different progressions. Hopefully you've played them in some of the beginner songs, so you've had a go at playing them in time with the backing tracks. Obviously you want to play your chords and get them in sequences, make them sound like proper songs as quickly as you can. So here we've already looked at A minor, D minor and E minor in the beginner lesson, so you can recap those if you need to. And here we're going to be adding 2 extra minor chords, B minor and C minor. Now the full versions of these are actually bar chords, which involves clamping your first finger over several strings at once. Quite difficult. We're not going to be looking at this at level 1, we're going to be looking at that at level 2. So we're just playing slightly less full versions of these chords to start with. So there's a B minor chord. The full one involves a bar. There's a couple of variations where they just sound a bit fuller, so we're just going to play the top 4 strings for these chords. So first of all, finger 1 on fret 2, and finger 2 of the top string, that is, finger 2 on fret 3 of the 2nd string, the B string, finger 3 on fret 4 of the D, the 4th string, and finger 3 on fret 4 of the G, the 3rd string. So there's a B minor. Now because the full version is a bar chord, we don't really want to hear the open strings a little bit muddy there. We want to keep it a bit crisper sounding. So you want to be aiming to just strum the top 4 strings there. So very quick recap. Hopefully you're doing this anyway through all of that fantastic learning you've done at beginner level, but try to just use the tips of your fingers obviously when you're fretting the chords, but also don't push down too close to the nail, because you're going to be interfering with strings underneath. I'm just too close to the nail on my first finger there, so I can do that and it sounds alright. I'm now clearing that, but it's a little bit on the awkward side. It's pretty nasty stretch there, so all I'm going to do, instead of moving my whole hand round, literally just reposition my finger, and straight away I'm sure that looks a lot more relaxed. I'm not having to reach around in an awkward fashion. Just reposition my finger, tiny movement. Don't bend the string up like that though, because that just sounds pretty nasty. Take your finger off and then reposition it. So relax, take your finger off, reposition it, find a position where you can definitely hear the string underneath, and then just try and do that with all 4 fingers. You might find your little finger is a little bit too flat or too close to your nail, so you'll have to move that around a little bit. I mean, this is the first time we've used a little finger for minor chords anyway, so you might find it's not that responsive. So sometimes what you can do is you can try and curl, sort of lock these together without being too tense, reasonably closely, and then curl your fingers round so the ends of your fingers kind of come in line, and then that's a good position for this kind of chord where you've got those 2 fingers kind of right next door to each other on the same fret, different strings. So there's a B minor, just basically starting from fret 2. Now the reason why I say that is because C minor is just exactly the same chord starting from fret 3. Okay, so again, that doesn't sound very good. Don't play the bottom 2 strings, don't play the bottom E and A strings. So what people sometimes do is, you see, I just reposition my fingers a little bit there. I've actually used a part of my third finger that's even further away, further round from my nail, and that's now means that my third finger is pushing up against string 5. So if I get a bit too carried away with my strumming, I've actually strummed through string 5 there, but you can't hear it. A little bit of muting. It's quite a useful sort of tactic that people use, so you can give that a go if you want. There is another version of C minor as well. This is a bit tricky. It does involve, if you've noticed with the B and the B minor and the C minor, we're not actually using any open strings here, so I suppose strictly speaking they're not open chords, but they get used very, very regularly in open chord sequences. Another C minor which does use one open string is this one. A little bit on the awkward side. It's a bit of a stretch there, so you might find that this one is easier to play. There's always loads of different shapes, loads of different ways that you can play the same chord. So with this one, the other C minor, it was basically fret 3 on the A string with your little finger, I think. If you've got quite a long reach, you could try using your third finger, but there's no way I'm going to make that. So I'm using my little finger, and then I'm on fret 1 of the D of the 4th string, open string 3, and then you got to somehow kind of tuck your second finger in there. Okay, so it's a bit of a nasty stretch. So if you can manage that, that's fine, you can play that, but otherwise stick with this one. With this other C minor, you don't want to play top E as well, because we've actually got what we call an E flat note in that chord. So if we play an E flat and an E together, that's sounding pretty nasty. So there's a couple of minor chords. You can combine any of these in chord sequences along with other chords that you know. Have a look at some of the other free lessons on strumming patterns and chord changing at level 1. Recap the beginner lessons. You can have a look at some of the level 1 songs. So beginner acoustic, sorry, level 1 acoustic, level 1 melodic rock, level 1 classic rock, and also level 1 indie. They all contain a load of open chords with strumming patterns, so it's always good to put these chords into sequences so you feel like you're playing proper music as quickly as possible, basically. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and we'll see you here again soon on Coded Guitar.